What up?
What's up?
Fifth quarter extra.
Fifth quarter extra here on a Halloween night. Hope you had a great Halloween. It's the final day of October here,
Yeah.
Patrick. This season has been flying by.
I feel like every time we talk on Southeast Sports Plus, it's like, how is the season already like almost over? And then high school, we're already talking about the playoffs.
Exactly.
Playoffs.
Get some Jim Moore in there. Yeah. But yes, we will be talking about the playoffs here pretty soon with all these teams. But first, we had to finish up the regular season. And Patrick, a lot of teams had already clinched their spot, solidified their spot. So there wasn't a ton of drama in this final week. And we knew that most classifications, especially 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A, the smaller ones, and then 7A had all been set. But a lot of the drama was there in 6A.
Yeah, you want to head there first?
Yeah, we can head there first. All right, you want to start with our game of the week?
Yeah, we'll start with our game of the week.
We'll start with our game of the week because it was an inter-squad or inter-classification matchup. A really nice matchup here between Bayside Academy and Tuscaloosa Academy. This is a really interesting scheduling spot for Coach Barrett Trotter and the Admirals because they opened the regular season with St. Michael. They closed the regular season with Tuscaloosa Academy. Yeah. Both teams won region championships, one in Class 4A, one in Class 2A. An early mistake here for the Knights leads to the first touchdown of the game. We'll run back that touchdown here. Watch this mistake here by the punter. Just accidentally drops his knee on the ground, and ball's dead right there. Good catch by the official. Good eye by the official. And then Bayside, they don't need a lot of help from the opponents to get on the scoreboard. Great eye there, as you see. They get the ball inside the 10-yard line, and they cap it off with the touchdown. Pitch and catch, Davis Barnett, Walker Collins. That is just beautiful football right there. A 2-point conversion is good, and Bayside Academy has the early 8-0 lead in this one. Keep in mind, they came in with an 8-game winning streak. Yeah. Their only loss was that season opener to St. Michael, and then they poured on from there. Noah Kane on the short touchdown carry. Bayside now up 16-0. For the second quarter, it looked a lot like the first quarter because it was Noah Kane to cap off that first quarter, Noah Kane to start the second quarter, just adding to that stat line right there, 22-0 at that point. Bayside's defense, they've been strong all season. I said this in our pregame for the game of the week. If you take out the first game, they average about 9 points per game they've been giving up. A lot of single-digit games for this defense, and it lets this offense just play very free. And you see it here on this play as Barnett has just all day to throw the football. He does so, goes long. Lad Powers on the other end, 28-0 Bayside Academy. This is a really tough test, and a lot of people will say, hey, different classifications. But Tuscaloosa Academy is a team that could make a run in Class 2A. And so to have a playoff team come to your building and take care of business, you know that Barrett Trotter has to be happy.
Yeah, and I mean, nice tune-up right before the playoffs. I think you said Bayside played St. Michael to start the year, and that's their lone loss. I mean, that's not a bad loss if you look at how St. Michael's panned out now.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, obviously, great offense over there. Gunnar Rivers, we'll head over to there next. But before then, a little bit of fun. Over there at Bayside tonight.
Yeah,
Look at this.
Check this out. Our buddy Lee Atherton sent this over. This is what they call the Monster Dash. And so they had different age groups. And they were running.
Costumes.
And these are excellent costumes as well. I mean, just check these things out here. So this is the older age group right here running. This is a great tradition. You see a little bit of this in basketball. They'll take fans out of the stands. They'll do certain competitions. I love that Bayside did this. I was there for the pregame special there. And it just adds to the fun because you know that there's a lot of people out trick-or-treating, of course, and enjoying the holiday and enjoying the overall season. But this was a really fun time here by Bayside.
Yeah, looks like a lot of fun there. Hopefully, if they did go trick-or-treating after, they got all the candy that they wanted in the world.
Yeah, they did.
I think I made mention this is the first time. This is the first Halloween where I actually haven't dressed up.
You didn't dress up?
No.
Wow.
No, I mean, last year, college, I had to figure out what my costume was. I think on actual Halloween, I don't remember if that was Boston Rob from Survivor or if I was a golfer and my fiance was a caddy.
See, the couple's costume, the doubles costume,
yes,
I like that. If you're going to do it, do it. Best one I've seen, keeping in sports, was Randy Johnson and the bird that he hid. Did you see that?
It always comes up every year.
Yeah, somebody does it.
Somebody did it like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen it. And it feels like every time Halloween rolls around, it always gets recycled. And I mean,
It's an amazing
the fact that you can come up with that, I mean, it is great.
Absolutely amazing.
We'll get right back to football here. Senior night over at St. Michael, top-ranked Cardinals hosting UMS Wright, traditional powerhouse over here in Region 1. And Gunnar Rivers, he's going to waste no time getting things going here. This was played on Thursday. Gunnar Rivers here, he's going to look down the right sideline, and he is going to hit Tucker Tomlinson on this deep ball and putting the Cardinals inside of the 5 now. Nice catch there from Tomlinson. Noah Moss would then take the handoff here. He's going to find the right side here, and he's going to easily scamper in, and it is 6-0 St. Michael. Phillip Rivers looking to finish the season 10-0, 6-3 now. St. Michael driving again, but this one is batted up in the air, and that one's picked off by Kaplan Reed there on UMS. So
great concentration.
Yes, great concentration, great defense. UMS would tie it up 6-6, but Gunnar Rivers, he's going to shake that one right off. He hits Brody Jones. I'm telling you, it feels like every week we say that duo, 13-6 now. And late in the half, UMS, they're driving now. And this is Max Fowler. He's going to hit John Block. A nice catch there inside Cardinal territory. Later in the drive, Fowler, again, he's going to look for the end zone here. But Brody Jones, we just talked about his touchdown on the other side. Now he adds an interception to his name. It was a tough battle there in St. Michael over in Fairhope. But St. Michael are able to hold on to the 25-20 win. And the Cardinals finish a perfect 10-0 this year.
This is big for a lot of different reasons, Patrick, because I know last year when Phillip Rivers came over to Mobile, played Terry Curtis. We thought that it might be Terry Curtis last year. That was a great tune-up for them right before the Class 4A playoffs, going to play UMS Wright. And then they made it deep in the playoffs, obviously going to the semifinal round. I wonder if last night's test will work in that same vein as it did a year ago. You play a tough team. You have to make some big defensive plays late in the game. I know they had it versus Jackson a few weeks ago, but they've been mowing teams down. And I think a good competitive game where you're down and you have to fight some adversity and make some plays late, I think it does wonders for this football team.
Yeah, I mean, St. Michael did face adversity here. It wasn't Gunnar Rivers' best game that he played this season, but as I always say, good teams, they just find a way to win no matter what's stacked against them. And I mean, St. Michael, they're going to be heading into the postseason 10-0 under Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers, he knows how to play in the postseason.
Yeah, he does. He knows how to play in the postseason, knows how to coach in the postseason, making history once again with his football team. Great to see our friends in the chat, Rodney Williamson, saying what up from Brewton, Alabama. Of course, that's right there in the home of one of the biggest rivalries in the state of Alabama. W.S. Neal, T.R. Miller. We'll get to that game in a little bit. He said Miller did not look too well tonight. I will say this, though. This is a really good W.S. Neal team. And also keep in mind here, Rodney, the last time Rodney Cottrell was coaching a playoff game, they won. And then they won again and again and again and again. They won the state championship. So with Mobile Christian, 2 years ago now. Then he left last year, went to Pensacola for college, and then now he's back in the game. So don't hang your head if you are T.R. Miller. I know that the streak is now broken. It was 5 games in a row that T.R. Miller had won over their rivals from W.S. Neal. But I will say that is a really good rivalry. Congratulations to the Eagles. And Ronnie, don't hang your head. I think T.R. Miller is going to be good in these playoffs. Next up, another intra-class battle here between Viger and Baker. Both teams are going to the playoffs. Of course, Baker won the region championship. Viger held the #1 spot in Class 5A for a lot of the season before they lost to Williamson. This is a great play here defensively by Miguel Wilson for Viger. Ends up getting the interception. However, there would be a field goal here blocked by Keandre Petway. We didn't get to show this in the show, but watch this. He fumbles the football. We talked about concentration earlier. Watch him. Whoa. He gets back on it. So he gets
That's awareness right there.
He has a blocked field goal, a fumble, and a fumble recovery on the same play. And so big play here to get into the end zone. That is Tate Graham to Joshua Jones. Falls into the end zone there for the touchdown. There you see Donald Trump. You see some Mario characters there. The student section going wild. Sammy Dunn and company, they rallied though. This is a big response from Sammy Dunn to Dylan Jackson. I'm really excited for this combination in the playoffs as they move forward. But once again, another big special teams play, blocks field goal. This might be a special weapon here for Baker as they move forward. In all these tight games, everything matters, especially late in football games will not be a bit surprised if a blocked field goal or extra point might be the difference for the Hornets. I'm just saying. You got to win in the margins.
Beamer ball, as we see in the SEC. Beamer ball.
You got to win in the margin. It is Beamer ball there in the SEC. A couple of big touchdown runs there for Baker to put this game away. So this is a really good win for a Baker team going into the playoffs. And I really like these coaches. We talked about this with Phillip Rivers, scheduling UMS right. We talked about this with Barrett Trotter and Bayside Academy, hosting Tuscaloosa Academy. This is also a really good region game. This, to me, is one hand washes the other. Both teams are set up better in the playoffs because they played these games win or lose.
Yeah, and I mean, you always want to play good competition towards the end of the season so that way you can get ready for the postseason.
Exactly.
I take it back to my own playing days. I felt like towards the end of the season we would always schedule these interclassification games against higher classifications, against good teams, because we want to get into that postseason mentality, and we want to be tested. We want to see how things are going, and I think it's a great thing that these teams are actually doing this to end the year, get these little tune-up games, so to speak, see how well your defense plays against good teams, and then right before the postseason.
Yeah, and it's big because, and I think for a lot of different reasons, and you talked about it before, and I love it when it's intra-class, like you talked about it, where you're not playing for the same trophy. No, Viger and essentially Viger and Baker can both come back home with state championship trophies. They're not playing for the same title. So with that in mind, you could play conservatively because you don't want to show your playoff opponents a lot. However, still get that tune-up and a big win there for the Baker Hornets. Speaking of another big matchup here, we talked about it with Rodney in our chat there on Facebook Live. It is the big game between W.S. Neal and T.R. Miller here. It is one of the most storied rivalries in the state of Alabama. W.S. Neal, T.R. Miller. I'll get the history on this in just a second. But first, T.R. Miller with the football. I go up top. However, Matthew Godbolt comes up with the interception for the Eagles. That is a huge defensive play there, thwarting any chance at a touchdown. But speaking of touchdowns, they turn the interception into points, and it's the same guy on the receiving end of both. That is Godbolt after the pass from Jared Cook there. So it's early 7-0 lead for W.S. Neal. A back-and-forth defensive battle in the second quarter. I see your interception, Matthew Godbolt, and I will raise you, said James Keisner. And Kaiser comes up with the interception there for T.R. Miller. No scoring when our main man Cooper was over there in Brewton. There was no scoring. It was like, I got to get some crowd shots and everything else because the offenses weren't giving me much. The defenses were giving him a lot, though. Big play there and a big win for W.S. Neal as they go on to win it by a final score of 21-0.
Really nice win there for W.S. Neal. Let's head over to Davidson High School now. The Warriors are hosting BC Rain here, and we are going to open it up with the Red Raiders. This is a quick little screen pass here. Malachi Adams finding Jermani Rogers on the screen pass. He's going to bolt down the sideline. Can he get it to the end zone? No, not quite. But again here, Adams, he's going to look to pass. He finds Javelin Finley on the quick hitter. And Finley, he is just gone.
Yeah.
Like there is no stopping him.
Yeah, he is.
On his way into the end zone there. 7-0 BC Rain early. Staying with the Red Raiders, Adams. This is one of our 22nd State Bank Plays of the Week nominees. Look at this double coverage, and he spins out of it.
That's amazing. That's an amazing effort.
When I watched that at first, I was like, oh, my goodness. This is like Madden.
Yeah.
We're going to run this back.
I love it.
Because I don't think some people might not appreciate how good of a play this is. Off balance, heaves it up down the middle, double coverage, nice catch, spins out of it, and he's just making a mad dash towards the end zone here. But Gerhard, as we mentioned, BC Rain up 13-0 here. Davidson Warriors, they're able to fight back, and they're going to win this game 28-19.
That's amazing there for Davidson, and it's always good for teams, and we talk about this with teams who are not going to bowl games in college. If you can win your final game, you leave the season on a positive note.
Right.
Same thing for Davidson. They're not going to the playoffs, but you get a win there. It really start some momentum going into off-season workouts. And we've seen teams that don't make the playoffs win their final game, go into off-season workouts with that motivation, like, hey, we can win, because the doubt is now gone. If you can win or not, the doubt is gone. You go into the next season and you ready yourself for the upcoming year. So a lot of fun there for Davidson as they celebrate a win in the final game there of the regular season. We talked earlier in the show about Class 6A Region 1, Patrick. You want to dive into those games?
Yeah, let's go ahead here. You want to let's go into McGill, Tulane hosting a Baldwin County here.
It hit me late that both these teams were black both these teams wear orange, and they're playing on Halloween. It felt destined that these two teams would match up here. The team that is in the orange and black here on offense is McGill-Tulane, and that is Jack Linehan with a nice play there from Blaine Beret. And that same duo would hook up for a touchdown later on in that drive. That is huge. That's a great catch there. As McGill-Tulane grabs the early
Mario and Luigi.
Lead. Yeah, you got to love Mario and Luigi. All the student sections, they really came out today. Came out dressed up. This is currently our Zaxby's Player of the Week, the reigning Zaxby's Player of the Week. He had 4 touchdowns last week. 4 touchdowns the week before. The last 2 games, more than 800 yards, 8 touchdowns for Ladarian Miller. There's another one. I don't know his final numbers for tonight, but that is a big boost there for McGill-Tulane as they go into the playoffs. They're rolling now with a team that's on fire, that is confident. They've now won a couple of games in a row. Coach David Faulkner, you and I got a chance to talk to him the other day. We were interviewing both he and Ladarian Miller heading into the playoffs. This is a confident football team. I know they walk in as the number 4 seed, but this is a confident bunch.
Yeah, and I mean, confidence does wonders for any team.
Absolutely.
You always want to head into the postseason on the right note and with a win, so that way you feel good in practice when you start practicing.
Yep.
It honestly does wonders for the mind. But we're going to stay in Class 6A Region 1 here. St. Paul's taking on Spanish Fort. Now, both of these teams did not control their own destiny, but a loss, and you're guaranteed to go home. Nice play here from Spanish Fort's Juju Bonner. He's going to take the handoff and reverse it into the end zone to put Spanish Fort up 7-0. And then here's the Oregon commit, Anthony Tank Jones. He's going to bulldoze his way right into the end zone and tie the game up at 7. St. Paul is then going to go on and score another touchdown, going up 14-7. And Spanish Fort now, Jalen Thibodeau. He puts that one right in the breadbasket for Mason Edwards. And here we are again, tied 14-14. But when you're inside the 5, you might as well just hand the ball off to Anthony Jones. He takes the direct snap there. And look, I'm going to run that back just because look how nonchalant he is on his way into the end zone here. Oh, my. It's just another day at the office.
Another touchdown.
St. Paul, the Saints go on to win 28-24, but unfortunate.
Huge one there for both those squads. We don't say these words very often, that St. Paul's and Spanish Fort are not going to the playoffs. And it's fitting that we ended on Tank Jones because we've watched this young man grow for a very long time. And I hate that it's his final football game, but there's a lot of people, when you're ranking players that have come out of Mobile, I know he's got a lot of football left to play on the collegiate level, as you said, at Oregon, and then possibly on the next level playing on Sundays. I think that he will be eventually in that mix of, hey, great players to come out of the Gulf Coast area. The sky is the limit for him. He's uber talented. He's a good kid too. Hate to see this is his final game.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate though for Tank Jones. But I mean, he's going up to Oregon next year.
Yep.
I believe he's going to play on the defensive side.
That's right.
But I mean, you saw some of the offensive prowess. You never know. Maybe Dan Lanning, he might scheme up a special package for him inside the 5 there if the Ducks ever need a touchdown,
If I'm Tank Jones, all I do.
I mean, if Caden Proctor can do it.
Oh, yeah. He could definitely do it. But what I would do, if I was Tank Jones, I would literally cut up 5th quarter highlights of where he scores touchdowns and end it off with you saying Dan Lanning needs to come up with a package for him. And literally, I think
Tank, if you're listening, if you want me to cut it up so that way you can send it to Dan Lanning, just let me know. Hit me up on social media.
Love it. I love it there. So St. Paul's, Spanish Fort, season over for both squads. Let's head over now to Gulf Shores. They were a team entering this game against Murphy. They were going to be in the playoffs, but you want to win to be able to secure everything. This is a very, very proud senior class, and the senior class is kind of taking this program to new heights. They won a state championship a couple of years ago, now looking for a spot in the playoffs, and a big play here by Carter Davis, already up 7-0. This touchdown makes it 14-0 from 40 yards out for the Dolphins. Later, it's Major Hutspeth, the quarterback. A nice little short pass there to Nick Hampton, and great moves there by big number 11. Hampton goes into the end zone for the touchdown, and if it works once, well, just do it again to the other side. And Hampton just makes a big play here. Couple touchdowns on the day coming right to you right there. And Gulf Shores not only gets it done on offense with Hampton, Hutspeth, and company and Carter Davis, but also with the defense as well. the goose egg, the 0 on the scoreboard. I know that makes Coach Mark Hudspeth very happy. 45-0, your final score.
Yeah, really nice stuff there. We're going to stay in Class 6A Region 1. Theodore already has that number 2 seed locked up here, headed to Blunt here tonight. And we're going to open it up here with Krishan Overton. Watch this juke move. I mean, goodness, that is incredible. That's a next-level juke move on his way into the end zone. 6-0 there after the missed PAT. And then Blunt looking to punt it away here. And a little bit of a mistake here on the Theodore end. He's going to accidentally touch this. And Blunt's Joshua Zine Jr., he's going to recover this one. So a little bit of a mishap there. But Blunt unable to convert on the drive. And they have it again here at midfield. But a great defensive play here from Theodore. That's Julian McDonald that's going to jump on the football there. So the Bobcats are going to get the ball back. And it is Kendrick Abel, another name that I feel like we just hear every week.
All the time.
He's going to shrug one man off. And look at this group of defenders that he just drags his way into the end zone. 12-0. Theodore, as we mentioned, you always want to head into the postseason with a win. The Bobcats win tonight 25-0.
Yep, and speaking of the postseason, we will set the table for you in Class 6A Region 1. This is one of those weird classifications. You know, there's some regions that have 7 teams in it. 7 teams, 4 in, because your top 4 get in every region. There are some regions where more teams make the playoffs than don't make the playoffs. 6A is completely different. 6A Region 1 here, 9 teams in. So 5 are out, 4 are in. So the 4 that are in, number 1 seed is Saraland. The number 2 seed is Theodore. The number 3 seed is McGill-Tulane. And the number 4 seed is Gulf Shores. And I will get the playoff bracket up as well because we have some of the matchups already set. Saraland will host Wetumpka coming up next week. McGill-Tulane is on the road at Pike Road. Gulf Shores is on the road. They head over to Russell County. And Theodore will host Stanhope Elmore. Of course, the coaches will all meet in Montgomery coming up on Saturday morning. That's where the actual playoff brackets become official. But as of right now, with all the regions, barring some crazy thing that happens between now and 8, 9, 10 a.m., that will be your region matchups that will be your first round playoff matchups with all the teams here in our area.
Yeah, really exciting times as I mentioned. It's hard to believe that we are already here, but now is go time for all of these teams. Now the regular season is over. You've got to put every last breath into each of these games because you never know when it could be your last.
Yep, exactly right. Ronnie Williamson in the comments there saying Coach Faulkner was a quarterback at Miller. They just churn out good coaches, good players, especially Ronnie Cottrell. So obviously there with David Faulkner, whose team is now headed to the Class 6A Region 1 playoffs there as one of the teams that will go on the road. And we've seen before all 4 teams come away with wins. We've seen it before in 6A and in 5A around here. It wouldn't be a bit surprised if both road teams, McGill-Tulane and Gulf Shores, come back with wins there in the second round. And once again, we will unapologetically root for our local teams as we move forward in the season. And moving forward with our show here, let's go to Cottage Hill now. Cottage Hill playing St. Luke's. This is a nice little rivalry here. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of excitement between these two teams. St. Luke's just missed the playoffs by a game, lost to Chickasaw, so they're out. But Cottage Hill is in, and they're into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game as Shamar Tootle connects with Trevor Thomas for the early touchdown, and that pairing would hook up again a little bit later. But this time it is Tootle hitting Aaron Ward. We have seen him a lot of times on this program here on Fifth Quarter Extra, on the Fifth Quarter Show, as one of the Player of the Week nominees, the freshman doing work there for Coach Carvel Jones and company. And then later on, this is Caden Wynn. This would be the Caden Wynn drive. He has this play here that would set up the touchdown by Caden Wynn. And he would get into the end zone and have that efficient drive pay off with the touchdown. And then later it's back to the air again for Shamar Tootle. Of course, his brothers are headed over to Auburn. That news out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And Shamar Tootle carving out probably a path to the SEC himself as well. Nice, beautiful pass there to Trevor Thomas. Their second pitch and catch of the game. Cottage Hill, they are rolling as they go to the playoffs. The final score in that one was 48-14.
Great stuff there for Cottage Hill. Let's head over to Irvington now. First ever matchup between Jackson Olin and Alma Bryant. Jackson Olin out of Birmingham. Hurricanes looking to close the year with a win. We're opening it up here. Mackay V, he's going to plow his way into the end zone there for the Canes touchdown. And McIvy looking to throw it this time, but a nice interception here for Jackson Olin. Let me see if I can get you some names here. That one was Mekhi Jones on Jackson Olin with the interception. And looking in here, Jackson Olin now with the ball. But this was a nice jump on the route there and a nice interception there for Cameron Mose from Alma Bryant. The Canes, they're going to have the ball here. And Anthony Sturgis, he's just going to slither his way on into the end zone here. And it was all Canes tonight in Irvington. They win 44-6. A really nice job there for Coach Sessions.
Yeah, Bart Sessions and company, they won their big game last year to end the season. Kind of gave them some positive momentum going into the year. Wonder if this will have that same impact on this football team as they move forward. A young squad there for Coach, but getting it done there and getting a big win, a nice win to end off the regular season. And now let's go over to Satsuma Chickasaw here. This is a really interesting matchup because Chickasaw is going to the Class 2A playoff. Satsuma is out of Class 4A, but it's a really nice effort here by Coach Rodney Jordan's company because you could just easily phone it in, especially if you're a senior or one of the older guys on this football team. You're not going to the playoffs. You can just hang it up and whether focus on basketball or wrestling or whatever fall sport or baseball or get ready for the next year. Yeah. But they don't do that. They fight hard the entire time. Micah Sullivan gets into the end zone for the touchdown. The 2-point conversion was good. But Chickasaw answers. Jaden Collins hits Cedrus Gilmore. He makes the man miss. This is a very athletic player. Second time now he has scored here on our program. And a big touchdown for the Chieftains. But the PAT was blocked, so it's 8. Oh, sorry, the PAT was good, so it's 8-7 after that touchdown. And then once again, you go right back to your main man, Sullivan. This is a really nice play here and a good, nice win for Satsuma. Yep. This is another situation where a team is not going to the playoffs, still fighting hard, something to build on for next year for Coach Rodney Jordan and company. We got a chance to go out when we were honoring Jordan Poe as the Zaxby's Player of the Week a few weeks ago when he won that honor, and you could tell it's a team that grinds. And they're obviously in a very tough division with both Jackson and St. Michael there in Class 4A, but nice win to end the year.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Satsuma, we're looking forward to the golf tournament tomorrow, hosted by their golf team over at Heron Lake. So that'll be, we're looking forward to that bright and early. You know, gotta get some rest after this.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to do my back stretches again. I did back stretches for the golf tournament last week, and honestly, I felt like I played pretty well. So, you know, when you start getting up there, at my ripe old age right now.
I was about to say I'm close to 2 decades older. What are you talking about? I'm over here with an hour-long pregame warm-up, getting ready for some golf tomorrow. But no, super excited to support the program, and you can support the golf program too, the girls golf program. Check them out there on Facebook. We'll be out there for the golf tournament there at Heron Lake. So let's break down. That's all the games that we've had on Thursday and Friday, but we'll break down the playoff situations for you in each classification. We talked about Class 7 or 6A earlier, but this is the situation in Class 7A. You have Baker, MGM, that is your number 1 seed and number 2 seed. Fairhope is your 3 seed. Daphne is your number 4 seed. So the playoff situations for next week: Baker will host Florence. MGM will host Austin. Fairhope on the road at James Clements, and Daphne on the road there at Sparkman. So long road trips if you're coming from the Huntsville area to come down here. So it is Baker and MGM get to sleep in their own beds and have a lot of fun here as they get ready to host. But long road trips for both Fairhope and Daphne.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great when you don't have to deal with those. Because back in my playing career, I think the longest ride I ever had was 3 hours. So nothing quite like Huntsville all the way down to here. Wow. But I mean,
while we're at it, I'm gonna Google Maps that because I think
it's 5 hours.
One. Yeah. Fairhope to James Clements. And keep in mind, James Clements is where the coach right now is at. James Clements is the coach that was at Baker last year, Juan Johnson. And Juan Johnson and company, they led that Baker team to a playoff win over Hewitt-Trussville, now getting a chance to play another team out of Mobile. I just find that that really interesting there. So, yeah, about a 5-hour trip there for both Fairhope and Daphne. So, obviously, we wish them the best as they go up north to play in that matchup. We talked about Saraland, Theodore, McGill-Tulane, and Gulf Shores in Class 6A. Meanwhile, in Class 5A, it'll be Williamson, that was the number 1 seed, Viger as the number 2 seed, UMS Wright is the 3, and Citronelle is the 4. Citronelle's big win over over LaFleur. Said this a couple weeks ago when they won that game. That was their first playoff game.
Yeah.
They won that game. That game essentially settled who's the 4 and who's the 5 out of that playoff. So sometimes the playoffs come early for a lot of these football teams.
Yeah, I always love when you can see these matchups coming as the season starts to progress. And
right.
It doesn't always just come down to the end of the season because, as you mentioned, it's like that first playoff game. It's like playoffs, Christmas came early.
Yes.
And when we were looking at that game, it was like, yeah, exactly. I mean, it definitely had playoff implications on the line there. And turns out that's exactly the case.
Yep. So the 5A brackets look like this. Williamson will host Eufaula next week. Viger will host Charles Henderson. Meanwhile, UMS Wright is on the road at Andalusia. I mean, that if you talk about a helmet game, that's a good helmet game between those two because it's just two proud programs, a lot of success over the course of the years. And Sam Williams and company, congratulations, Sam Williams,
yes.
First year as the Bulldogs head coach. Led his team to the playoffs. They go to Andalusia. That should be a really good game. And Citronelle will go to Catholic Montgomery, also known as Montgomery Catholic. I've heard both say that the Catholic comes first and the Montgomery comes first. But it is Citronelle against Catholic Montgomery there for that matchup there in Class 5A. So pretty solid road trips there for Citronelle. And not as long as our friends there in Class 7A.
No, definitely don't like those long road trips. But, yeah, 5A looking pretty good. You want to move it on to 4A?
Yep, let's move it over to Class 4A. We'll get you the standings as it finished out. St. Michael, obviously, with the undefeated season, beating Jackson. They're your region champions.
Impressive win last night over a UMS Wright team when they just didn't have it, but they still found a way to win.
Yep, found a way to win late in that game, and that was huge to keep their undefeated record going into the playoffs. They're now 10-0 going into the playoffs. That win over Jackson, we thought that might be the region championship. Turns out it was. So they're the region champions. Jackson is the number 2 seed with that one loss to St. Michael. W.S. Neal is the 3 seed. They're nice. They're rolling here. They got a big win over Mobile Christian last week. Got a nice win over their rivals from T.R. Miller tonight. They're the number 3 seed on the road, and Mobile Christian is your number 4 seed due to that head-to-head between the Eagles and the Leopards. So the playoff bracket will look like this. Let me pull that up out of Class 4A. Once again, all these brackets will be solidified tomorrow in Montgomery. But a lot of people have already done the math, done all the
crunched the numbers,
and found out who is who in which region. So St. Michael will host Pike County next week. Jackson will host Ashford coming up next week. Mobile Christian will be on the road at Dale County in that 1-4 matchup there, as Mobile Christian will take on the region champion in Dale County. And then the other matchup is W.S. Neal and Opp there in Class 4A. So W.S. Neal and Mobile Christian there going on the road. So we'll see if both of them can come up with big victories. I would think St. Michael and Jackson can take care of business there as, in my opinion, 2 of the top teams in the state.
Yeah, and I think something we got to keep in mind here is that Jackson and Mobile Christian did not play this week. So, honestly, when you go back to last week's game with Landon Duckworth and E.J. Crowell, they both exited the game early because they went up. So they basically had pretty much 2 weeks off going into this playoff matchup. And then Mobile Christian, they had the week off. That was my first game I got to film down here. I think they took on who did they take? I think they took on Chickasaw to open up the year, and that was my first game down here. And I was like, yes, here we are. Nice matchups there, and you had a baptism by fire, so to speak, and you've answered the bell at every turn, including tonight here on the 5th quarter. But yeah, you mentioned it with Jackson. E.J. Crowell, 2 carries last week. So essentially, as you said, about 2 weeks off before they play Ashford this week. And keep in mind, if you aren't looking at the bracket, they're opposite sides of the bracket. So Jackson's on this side, St. Michael's on this side. So theoretically, if things shake out the way they did last year, that could be a semifinal matchup with a chance to go to the state championship game as it was a year ago. Still lots of football to be played, and 2 teams in their region battling as well. Moving over to Class 3A now. In the Class 3A standings, the final standings are as such. Bayside Academy is your number 1, undefeated on the season in region play, only lost to St. Michael. Cottage Hill, number 2, their 1 loss was to Bayside Academy. T.R. Miller is number 3, their 2 losses, Bayside Academy and Cottage Hill. And Flomaton is the number 4 seed. You guessed it, their losses to the 3 teams that are right above them. So Bayside Academy will host next week. I'll pull that bracket up as we speak.
But we know Bayside Academy will host. We know Cottage Hill will host as well. Bayside Academy will host Houston Academy. That's a really good program over there in the Dothan area.
Yes.
They do a good job every season, and that'll be a really tough test for Coach Barrett Trotter and company. Meanwhile, Cottage Hill will host Wicksburg coming up next week. Flomaton will be on the road at Montgomery Academy. And then you also have there in Class 4A, T.R. Miller will go on the road at Trinity. I also do not want to leave out Thomasville because Thomasville is also in our viewing area as well. The Thomasville baseball team won the state championship a couple of years ago. Their football team also on the road coming up this week. They'll play at the Glenwood School, one of the new schools that made the move up from AISA. So they're going to Glenwood School there. So obviously rooting for Thomasville there in that one.
Yeah, always. As you mentioned, we kind of are rooting for teams from our area, but going back to Region 1, I think I'm going to look at this Bayside Tuscaloosa Academy game here tonight, and I feel like, just Bayside being able to get the win over Tuscaloosa Academy, a very good Tuscaloosa Academy, that's going to pay off dividends for them heading into the postseason here.
No question about it. In Class 2A now, the Region 1 standings are as such. Clark County is your number 1 seed, undefeated on the season. J.U. Blackshear is your number 2 seed. Washington County is 3, and Chickasaw, as you just saw, was number 4. Chickasaw obviously playing Satsuma today. A very, very tough battle there between those two football programs. And so I'll pull up the bracket now to see who plays where coming up next week. Keep in mind that all of these will be formalized tomorrow. I have to keep saying that because the coaches will all meet in Montgomery with the officials from the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and they will finalize the brackets there. But every year, usually it is just signed, sealed, and delivered ready for the playoffs next week. So Clark County will host Providence Christian next week, and J.U. Blackshear will host G.W. Long. If you're not from this area, G.W. Long has been a very, very good program in all sports, but especially in baseball. They are one of the most prolific baseball programs. I think 17 or 18 state championships. So J.U. Blackshear will get the Rebels there. Meanwhile, going on the road is Chickasaw. They will go to Cottonwood, and Washington County will go to Ayrton. So those are your matchups there in Class 2A.
Yeah, and we'll keep it right along here over to Class 1A now. I think Leroy already had that clinched up.
Yes, they did. Yeah, by virtue of going undefeated in that region, Leroy has that thing clinched up. Southern Choctaw with 2 losses, McIntosh with 3 losses, but that is your 2 seed and your 3 seed respectively. Millry, also a really great football program, very tough schedule this year. Yeah. They win 4 games on the season. They finished 4-6 on the year. The 4 games they won are all region games. That's the only ones you need to win. Yeah. They went 4-3 in the region. It's like the number 4 seed.
It's like in the NFL, as long as you win your division games, you're just going to be sitting just fine.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what Millry did. They won the games they needed to win, so now they're moving on to the playoffs. We'll get you those playoff brackets in here in just a second. But Leroy, one of the state contenders once again. They won the state championship a couple of years ago. I know they're looking to win it once again this year. Leroy will host Alberta. Meanwhile, the other matchup will feature Millry on the road at McKenzie, McIntosh on the road at Brantley. So nice matchups there. And then Southern Choctaw will host Georgiana there in a really good matchup. And this is Class 1A is always interesting because when you get to the playoffs, you get to this time of year, so many players are playing Ironman football. They're playing both sides.
Yeah.
So you're essentially you've at this point played 20 games if you're at a normal school. So you see a lot of high-scoring games in the playoffs, and a lot of that is because the defenses are just tired because you've played Ironman football all season long. So I feel like big defensive plays will be the keys here, especially for these 1A and 2A schools.
I'm going to go back to what we were talking about with Jackson earlier, how they did not play this week. Well, if you look at 3 of the qualifiers in Class 1A, Leroy didn't play this week, McIntosh didn't play this week, and Millry didn't play this week. Right. So those 2-way guys, as you mentioned, in Class A, they get an extra week off here.
Yeah, and I want to talk to all those coaches to see if they schedule that on purpose, knowing that those guys will have a lot of grind in the first 9 weeks of the season, and see if they schedule that, they did that deliberately to have that week off before the playoffs because, like you mentioned, a lot of Ironman football right before the postseason here. It is a Halloween night here, Patrick. That is all your regions, all your region championships, and where all of our local teams will be playing next week. Your overall thoughts here now that the regular season is in the books.
You know, I can't stop saying it. It truly is just shocking where time has gone. But now it feels like the whole year has led up to this. Now, as you mentioned, tomorrow we'll get our brackets solidified. We'll know who is playing who. But it seems like for the most part we know exactly how it's going to set up right now. But you know, it's crunch time now. Yep. You don't know when this a certain game is going to be your last, and so you've got to just get over the hump. If you're hurting, you just got to get through it and just keep on fighting. And who knows who's going to win the state?
Exactly. You nailed that on the head. The only games that are guaranteed are the ones that are on the schedule. Those are the only ones that are guaranteed. Those 9 games, 10 games that are there on the schedule. Everything else here, kind of living on borrowed time, is just 1-0. I know it's coach speak to say, got to go 1-0 every week. Well, the playoffs, that is certainly the case. You never know when you will slip up. Patrick, phenomenal job today, both on the air and here, and you did a great job. How'd you feel?
Feel great. Honestly, I had a little bit of nerves going into it.
Of course, that's natural.
I mean, I told myself I wasn't going to get nervous because I was like, come on, man. Like, you know, you sit in this chair, you do Southeast Sports Plus. This is just... You know, you can do this.
Right.
I mean, I kind of treated it like I don't want to sound cliche. Like, you know, it's like a baseball game. It's your first time on varsity, and the game's like super fast. But, you know, when we were doing our little run throughs, getting ready for this day yesterday, I kind of felt like it was going a little fast. But I feel like today I slowed everything down once I got through that first block, and I felt like everything else was just gravy. But glad to step in. It felt like it was a lot of fun. Now I get to see the other side. I know I'm usually in this chair for fifth quarter extra, but to be actually out there doing fifth quarter, that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You absolutely crushed it there. We got a question in the chat about Monroe County. We'll get those scores for you as well. Monroe County, they did play here in Week 10, and we'll get you that one. Monroe County, there's obviously a lot of good football over there. 59-6. Was the final score over Wilcox Central, 59-6. So they finished their season 3-7. Obviously a great season, but Monroe County not going to the playoffs. But that is a very tough region there. Nothing to hang your head about. Class 3A Region 1 with Bayside Academy, Cottage Hill, T.R. Miller, and Flomaton. A lot going on there. So Taylor Stabler, that's your score there. End off the season. Another team that ends off the season with 2 straight wins, XL and Wilcox Central there for Monroe County. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here. It is we're about to enter the month of November officially here in the next few minutes. It's
turkey season.
It's bizarre. It is turkey season.
No more spooky season after today. It's now turkey season.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas.
It is. And coming up next week, we will have first round of the playoffs. Simone Eli will be back next week, and we can't wait to have a ton of fun here on both fifth quarter and fifth quarter extra. Also, be sure to join us on Southeast Sports Plus Monday to Friday, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Any big upsets coming your way tomorrow? You got a chance to say it right now.
Does Vanderbilt count as an upset? I mean, I know Arch is playing.
Yes.
But who knows how well Arch is going to play. It seemed like he started to turn it up against Mississippi State towards the end in that fourth quarter. But
I'll see if the Arch news, did anything to the line. I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with the line. So it might be a weird situation where the higher ranked team is actually the team that is not the favorite going into the matchup, because Texas was the favorite going in, even though it was a possibility.
I've got my 3 upsets.
Okay.
So Vanderbilt's not favored, right?
Vanderbilt's not favored. In fact, the line is 3 now.
From a betting perspective, upset.
Right.
Vanderbilt is going to knock off Texas.
Yep.
Here's the one that might throw some people for a loop. Oklahoma's going to knock off Tennessee. I said on Southeast Sports Plus yesterday.
Okay.
The Tennessee defense is just a little too suspect for me to say that they're an actual contender in the SEC. I listed them as a pretender on our show the other day, and it's just when you have a defense that just can't get stops for you, it doesn't matter how good your offense is, because you're not going to put up 60 points a game.
Right. So that'll be their bugaboo. Who's your third?
Third, Gators.
Wow,
are going
to
take
Georgia.
Down Georgia. It feels like the writing is on the wall for me.
Yeah.
These guys are going to be playing for their coach.
Yeah.
Billy Gonzalez, interim head coach Billy Gonzalez, after Florida went ahead and relieved Billy Napier of his duties.
Yep.
This game's being played in Jacksonville.
Yep.
I just really feel like Florida, they're just going to come into this game. I don't want to say Georgia's going to take them lightly because Kirby Smart's teams usually don't do that.
Right.
It feels like Kirby Smart he just can't get over the Alabama hump.
Yeah.
But for some reason, just something's telling me Florida's going to knock off Georgia in this one.
They've already pulled off a shocker there in the swamp. They're beating Texas there. I don't know if I see that one. I can see Kentucky making it interesting against Auburn. I can see South Carolina making it interesting against Ole Miss. And I can see Mississippi State.
I'll be at that game.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, up in Oxford.
Up in Oxford. Tomorrow is a big day for you. And I can see Mississippi State or Arkansas. One of those teams has to get their first win there in the SEC. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching us live or you're watching us on the replay on Saturday or Sunday. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great, safe, and happy Halloween. We will see you coming up on Monday in Southeast Sports Plus and next Friday here on Fifth Quarter and Fifth Quarter Extra. Good night.